Asempa
what
FM.
I believe is our ministers and uniform the education sector I think before they come up with certain pronouncements, they should make sure that their pronouncement is going to ensure the proper implementation of whatever policy they are talking about. I think to make us up because this has been an issue with us for a long period, we should know that there's something really wrong, and that is why we've not been able to deal with this issue. That's why we've not been able to implement it fully. Now we can raise me teaching practice. I think so 3 or 4 years ago. There's a village we were Western region. Your friend Yami Betchere. Our Hunter Hall.
Hunter West, okay.
Yes, yes. I think there's a barrier be our Hansana who branch fast here. Then there's a school there. I went there.
Okay.
And when I got to the school, I met a teacher. Teacher, I'm a customer vice and no, you're transferring if enough. And you didn't about school more. Teacher, no, and say a hunter language is now honor. In the time you are better idea, piano. Another teacher will have to move from no classroom, no back class 3. Now, on the English nursery, Netis and Nina Wabano and translate to call a hunter ama mufrano. What that means is that teacher's class would be empty for that period now or tradian. In fact, I was so disturbed because I couldn't understand the reason why this challenge is there. I confronted the headmaster or say say language in almost finding but they are still working on it. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say it is very easy to say you should teach in a local language, but it's difficult to implement it when you do not have the laid down rules and other processes now. And will directive enforcing. I don't know, make us when it comes to our local language now, and yes, so uniform. There are a lot of languages we are dealing with. So if you are saying people, even with the clarification that have come, say lower primary normal canon. If you are saying they should teach in the local language of the people, what have you put in place? Eventually, teachers that are teaching at that level, in various communities, understand and speak that local language so that they can fully implement what you want them to implement.
And the other question will be, which local language? So, far areas are homogeneous in terms of their language. In the area or telekubo kaza de a purely in Zema area. It are no back as okay be a local language of instruction in Zema. Baba baby said takrade. Ebi ka fante. Ebi ka hunter. Yenim said generally takrade a hunter land. But schools in Takrade Kasabe no mobetche. One major issue. Say be our call Kumase. Na yem fane say unse Kumase wo area ye awona idiamas awona lie. No me ba. Asawase for example. Na say school Asawase a public school. And local language when how they trad here. It's another issue. I think that is where a lot more work would have to be done. Now, you're clear on the kind of local language per geographical area. You be used to. Now, you're training teachers. Now, so na better in sa local language. Now, so another issue. I was saying, me who story be say cabinet I instructed say ministers should refrain from announcing or implementing new policies without prior authorization. I don't know who this is directed at. Say education ministry, or say which ministry you name. But this is news coming out of cabinet meeting. Cabinet instruct ministers to refrain from announcing or implementing new policies without prior authorization. That's what Joy News, my Joy Online, reported, and it makes the whole conversation very, very interesting, Doc.
Yes, I think that should be the case because you see. What he talked about, any idea for fraud, idea in fact, the language policy dates back to like 20 years ago. I know comprehensive framing up and concluding here. When you are going to talk about something like this and you have the position of the minister, I think what you are going to say should enable us look at how we're going to implement this thing. You could have said there have been implementation challenges with this, you are aware, and you are going to ensure, say, whatever the bottlenecks are, you are going to put together certain mechanisms to ensure, say, we are able to achieve this particular policy directive. But to make it sound as if there are no challenges in the system, and that's right from your declaration, we should move to the ground and start working. I think it is problematic, and we should that's the channel. We should, ministers and people of policy levels, should refrain from some of these things because they are well carry weight. So when they say certain things, it should be easy for everybody to verify in terms of policy wise and ensure we are going by what they are saying.
Not just a announcement or directive, very premature.
It's not even needed. You see, especially because you have even inaugurated a committee not only working on the basic school curriculum. These things could have been pushed to them. They do some baseline study, they do some needs assessments, and then they tell you this is what we have in our national, instructional policy. They are supposed to use, but these are the bottlenecks, these are the challenges. As the minister, then you bring to bear your leadership and your direction. Then we can now move from there. But all the challenges are still there, and then you come out and say, we should, that should be the local, we start teaching in the local languages. Teacher in Ghana at the basic level, every educational research, everybody in the education field understands that at the basic level, lower primary, the language of instruction is L1, which is the local language. So that is not something that is new, that you have to come and reinforce it. But what you can do to change the situation is to tell us that this thing has been naboo for this while. We have not been able to implement it. In my time, this and this and this is what we are going to do to ensure that we are going to reinforce the use of the local language at the lower primary level. That is how the conversation should go. Yeah. And then we will now follow suit with your plans, and then we support you. And then by the time you leave office, we will know that, time we have this policy fully implemented during the time of this particular minister.